this, and then I can answer your questions. If you guys have questions or if you guys want to make comments about things, feel free to post them in the discussion channel. We'll go through the questions that were submitted in the community powwow questionnaire form towards the end, which it looks like Cooper, you were the only one so far to do that. But we'll go through them, and then at the end we'll do the Q&A like we normally do, answer any questions that you guys might have, clarify anything that you guys might have questions about, and then we'll be good to go. So, um, it's not. Oh, stop it. So it's not going to be a super long meeting. I didn't plan on making it super long. I'm just going to go over the financial breakdown, kind of show you guys where the money's come and gone over the past 2 months. I say 2 months, it's only been actually like a month and a half. Progress on the server, so like what scripts are being updated, what I'm finishing up on, um, and basically what is just the last little bit of details that we have to do before we launch the server. We're going to clarify some things about the lore for people that may or may not be in the know. Um, and then, of course, the questions and answers. So, the financial breakdown, these are just screenshots that I pulled specifically right off of the spreadsheet that you guys can have access to at any time. So, August, we started this about a month ago. So, yeah, August 27th, we started going. Spent a little bit of money. September, we have spent a lot of money getting stuff, getting subscriptions, getting memberships for things to allow one sync, um, and all in all, just getting things ready to go. So we had a total of $328 come into the server account. We have spent a total of $1,291. So we're in the whole $963. That's not abnormal. High new numbers, we were in like the thousands of the negatives. So, um, but yeah, this is what we have spent so far and what we have had come out. As you guys can see, we've bought a lot of scripts. We've gotten a lot of things that are going to be really unique for the server. And then, of course, the server box rent for $35 and things like that. So, there's that. Progress on the server. So, most of you guys are testers and staff teams. So, you guys already kind of know a little bit of the progress, but those that are going to be watching this video hopefully may not be as much in the know. We're still setting up player stores, so anyone that has like a business that's going to have a store, so like the blacksmiths, the gunsmiths, things like that, getting those set up and ready to go. I'm getting the farming script ready to be done so people could do some farming. I'm going to get ranching set up so people could do ranching. Setting up the camping and clan script. So the camping script that we're going to be using is Send Clans. And basically it allows you to set it up to where it's like a clan that you invite your friends to, and you all can add to the campsites, and there's a bunch of other cool stuff in there. I think it's a lot like the posse stuff from Red Dead Online, but I'm not super familiar with Red Dead Online, so I could be just completely speaking out my ass, but I believe that's what it's based off of. We're going to finalize the doctor script, get all the medication and healing stuff in, finalize the metabolism script, and then we're going to finalize crafting. So anyone that we are still waiting recipes on, if they don't get it in by probably Wednesday of next week, they're just going to have to wait until the server launches to get the recipes in. Otherwise, because I'm not going to keep putting it off for a few people. So there's that. Um, we're also going to be testing the apiary script, so honey harvesting from beehives, things like that. The fishing script does work. I just need to update the items that are used for the fishing. And it's the same fishing from the base game. So most people are familiar with that if you've played the base game. Um, and then we're going to be pushing in the shipping script as well as the newspaper script. So we could get those kind of tested and ready to go for the businesses that are in St. Denis. Now, some lore clarifications. So, if you have not already read the lore that CT has written called The Shattering Quake of 1896, I highly recommend that you do so because that is going to explain what we are doing with the server. Um, so, if you're not familiar with what we're doing, we're having a caravan that's going to be starting in Tumbleweed. That's going to be people that were either members of the state, so Duskwood citizens, um, or they're going to be new people coming into the state from other states, basically, trying to go into a new opportunity. Um, so if you're wanting to be part of the caravan, you will start in this tumbleweed. So whenever you first create your character and then you get to select your spawn point, you will select tumbleweed. Um, if you are wanting to be part of the Saint Denis group, which they were isolated from the earthquake, they're typically a little bit more financially well off, and Saint Denis is currently criminally controlled, so it's being controlled by several organizations that are keeping it afloat through trade and illegal means. You will select to start in Saint Denis. Now, the caravan is going to have the first part of the launch. So we are going to launch with the focus of the caravan needs first. Um, and then maybe a day or two after, we will start the Saint Denis launch, which will have most of us have Saint Denis characters coming in and really bolstering up the population of Saint Denis. So keep that in mind whenever you're planning on where your characters would start, where they would fit in this lore of the world. Um, Next is the Wasake tribe. They did not leave whenever the earthquake happened. So they actually settled in a large part of the state, which I will post what that looks like in the server and like the roleplay guides, because those that are previous residents of Duskwood would know where that is, because you guys will have access to the map, and I can't color code that specific area, unfortunately. Um, if you are a Wasake tribal member, you can start in the Wasake territory. There will be a spawn specifically for that. If you are not a Wasake tribal member and you decide to spawn in Wasake territory, you may experience hostilities because they're not going to know who the hell you are, and you're going to be waking up in their camp. Um, so if you plan on being like a friend of the tribe, you might want to organize that with one of the Weaver of Tales to kind of explain why your character would have been with the tribe, even if they're not a tribe's member. CT, am I leaving off anything from that that you can think of?
No.
Okay. Um, this is also an alternative story. So a lot of us are bringing in characters from either, Moonlight, um, other servers, High Noon. Um, I know CT and I are bringing in a couple people from Moonlight. We're not bringing over anyone from High Noon, but keep other state lore out of this state, minus a few character connections if you and your RP partners agree. So, more than likely, like my character Faith and CT's character Walker, they know William Buchanan. And if William Buchanan wants to continue being acquaintances or at least friends with Faith and Walker, then more than likely we will continue on that relationship. Same thing with Mike and Nellie. Because we had already had these interactions, if we want to keep those interactions as canon, that's awesome. But I don't want full blown storylines with a lot of other characters coming into this server, since we are allowing a supernatural component. And it's just a whole new state, new story, new canonical stuff. Now, if you have characters that have been in a relationship for a long time or married or whatever, that's fine to come over because that's between you and that person. Um, but again, we don't want, oh, well, back on Moonlight, I did this, this, and this, and now I'm the baddest bounty hunter in the world. No one gives a shit who you were over there because that's not how it is over here. So you'll have to lean into that and work up to that. All right. And that really is it. Like, our community meeting was going to be very short. So I'm going to pull up Cooper's question. Will there be cheapish properties available at launch, or will there be any designated characters to give loans and financing so that people may work on getting a home in state? So there will be properties set up, and it's not going to be just because they're cheap that they're going to be available at launch. All properties will be available at launch as you explore the state. Now, you can work with a realtor to get a loan um, for that, to get a property, but you're going to have a good portion of money down because you're going to have to pay taxes on that house every month. So if you go and find a realtor day one of the server and you get a house that is, let me pull up our little, because we even have a guide that talks about kind of how the housing is going to look. Let's say you wake up in St. Denis and you're like, I'm going to get the governor's mansion in St. Denis and it's $20,000. Well, you're going to have to be able to spend $1,000 a month, and that's one IRL month. And getting money is not going to be as simple as hunting a few legendary pelts and being done. Like, you're going to have to work for it, just like you would normally in a survival based or RP based server. Um, so you have to be kind of smart with your finances too. So you're going to have quite a bit to put down, otherwise you're going to be really be struggling. There is going to be camping and stuff for the caravan people coming into the state. In Saint Denis, there's going to be houses and stuff like, not houses, but hotels like the Bastille and stuff that's going to be set up for people to live in hotels, or even in their businesses if their businesses allow for it. But there's not going to be like $20 shack. That's not going to be a thing. Um, the houses are going to be realistic in price, um, but not unfair to get. And they are going to be first come, first serve. The only stuff that's reserved, quote unquote, is the ranches, and that's because you have to put in a business license to own one of the ranches or homesteads. So, like Beecher's Hope, Emerald Ranch, McFarland's Ranch, Hanging Dog Ranch, and Pronghorn. These are all really big ranches that are going to be specifically business and homestead properties. So hopefully that kind of clarifies your question a little bit. Um, any other questions that anyone has? And you guys can feel free to unmute and ask questions and stuff at this point.
Um, I know we've discussed this before, but I can't remember. Are we having multi-job here?
Yeah.
So a doctor could own a ranch, or no?
Yes.
Okay.
So keep in mind, or actually, no, I take that back because whitelisted characters cannot own a business. You can work on a
No.
ranch, but a whitelisted character cannot currently own a business.
Okay.
Um, Now, let's say you have a doctor that wants to work on a ranch and also wants to help out a saloon. They can do that. They can have those different jobs. However, if we start seeing that there's a problem with no doctors being around because they all want to do their other jobs, then we might have to get like the surgeon general to come in and be like, hey, why is there no one working? You know what I mean? We try to handle it in character versus like an out of character thing. Um, but yeah, doctors cannot own ranches. Lawmen cannot own ranches. Government people, any of those cannot own ranches because they have a whitelisted job.
Okay, that was all I had to ask.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions?
Come on, guys, speak up. Now's the time.
Yeah.
Any questions at all? There are no dumb questions.
Cooper asked, "Will we have a mascot?"
We do currently have a mascot. Their name, well, I don't have a name for him yet. But they are my brain, sorry. Um, they are the legendary silver and orange fox that we have in the server. So whatever that legendary fox is. But that's going to be our mascot. I'm planning on commissioning a set of emotes for that mascot. Um, but yeah. So that's our. I didn't see the powwow chat. I was looking at the discussions chat.
I did that last meeting. Just because we talked about it once, and then someone looking into getting into horse training asked me a while back, what is the planned limit for horses?
In terms of how many you can have in your stable.
Right.
Let me look at the script because I actually don't think I saw a limit. You guys are getting behind the scenes looks at stuff.
I have never seen anything like this before.
Yeah, you haven't seen none of this ever. If I can find the horses. There probably is a limit, and I just haven't paid attention to it. Let's see. Age limit. Well, it would help if I actually looked at the right horse script. I'm looking at the old one. It's all the training areas. Oh, Malanta. I really don't think that they have a limit. That's something that we will need to figure out if there's actually a limit because I'm not seeing one. So as of right now, no limit from what I can see. Saddlebags. No, no. Horseshoes, holsters, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, we might just have to see how many horses we can buy because there's no limit from what I can see.
Okie dokie. And horse trainers will be the only ones able to actually train horses.
Yes.
Perfect.
So, let me find. So, horse trainers will be able to train the horses. They'll be able to do a lot of the um, I need to double check this, but basically, horse trainers will be able to train up the horses a lot. I'm debating on letting it to where people that are not horse trainers can train up their horse a little bit, but it's at a much slower pace. Um, but I don't know yet because once people buy their favorite horses, they typically don't go back to the horse stables unless they have to get them trained. Um,
Hmm.
so we will see on that.
For anyone who isn't aware, we do have a lot of other horses that are coming in, so RP with horse trainers is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Cooper asks, does farming count as a business so long as you don't have any contracts with tribes or organizations? So you'll be able to farm. There are going to be certain crops that are going to be restricted to certain jobs, or you might not be able to yield as much of a certain crop. Um, but anyone can have a garden. It's just you won't be able to produce a mass quantity, or you might not be able to get a hold of certain things to make your crops like super abundant. Um, so if you happen to own a home property that has like a little garden area or you have a little bit of land, you'll still be able to farm. You just won't be able to like advertise as a farm. You can still, sell your crops to businesses if you would like. Um, but again, you won't be able to mass produce like a ranch or a farm or a homestead.
anything. Anyway,
I see someone typing in the discussions channel.
good question.
So we will have like realistic weather. We have weather sync. We do have some very random spooky weather events that are going to happen, just because of the supernatural aspect of the server. But with the metabolism script, you will have to dress appropriately going up to Coulter. Just like going out into the desert, you'll have to dress appropriately as well. Um, so, you're not going to go up to Coulter wearing, nothing. And you're not going to go into New Austin wearing a large winter coat. Um, but the penalty is not going to be like, oh my god, I'm going to die, like, instantly if I'm not dressed appropriately. It's just your character will struggle a little bit. Plus, with our medical script, you can also catch, like, colds. So, like, if you get too cold, um, your character could get like the common cold and then they have to go to the doctor to get medicine. Um, as far as other plans for Coulter, I'm hoping that we can get some of the buildings fixed up so that Coulter can be utilized. But one of the houses is completely cleaned up and like furnished really well. Um, and it's just the plans for Coulter or whatever you guys end up wanting to make it. So one of the big things that CT and I really wanted to emphasize is that this server and the state lore is being built by you guys as players. So we don't have big major plans for Valentine or Coulter or Blackwater. It's whatever you guys decide to do it. If some place stays desolate and empty, then so be it. That's how it is. Um, if you guys end up wanting to make Coulter like this big hustling bub of activity, we will try to make that happen as long as the RP shows that that's happening. Um, but the other big thing is that, we really want to focus on building the state lore together. So whenever you guys are branching out into your own stories, some big story arcs may have to hold while we get the state up to where it needs to be to make sense for your lore. If that makes sense, especially on like a developer level. So if you're wanting like certain really awesome things on your property, you're gonna have to RP out that development in the property. So if you're cleaning up Shady Bell because you want Shady Bell to be really nice, that's awesome. You're gonna have to RP that you've been lugging all that crap out of Shady Bell. Um, if like Armadillo Reborn, whenever we get that put into the server, we're all going to RP as a server, like the building up and like fixing of Armadillo. It's not just gonna be overnight. Oh, boop, Armadillo's done. Like it's gonna be a process. Same thing with Blackwater. Same thing with Ansburg. Um, all these different places. So yeah, there is no established law or other government entities in the server currently. There are a couple people that are interested in playing lawmen, but we don't have a law system because the idea that we have is that records were lost of the state at the time of the earthquake. So Saint Denis was like, well, we're going to make our own laws, and the Wasake have their tribal laws, but the natural citizens of Duskwood do not. So eventually, like, we're going to have like people that are going to come in and want to play lawyers and judges and governors and chief justices and all these things, but that RP is going to take time. No one's just going to come in and be like, well, I'm going to be chief justice. Like that's a whole type of RP that's going to have to be played out.
The idea behind that, and for those that weren't able to make the first meeting, the idea behind it is um, we're kind of going into it like a Deadwood state, that being I can't think of the word, city town of Deadwood, for those that are familiar with it. But again, the idea being that going in this way opens up a lot of opportunities for a lawman coming in and deciding that, wow, this place is wild. We need to set some laws. All that can be done through RP. Um, a judge and his cohorts, whether they're corrupt or not, coming in and taking over a town and using the law as a game, entirely possible. Um, it's possible that criminals could wind up running most of the state. Everything's there for the RP to guide. That's basically what we wanted to do going forward. Uh, yes, absolutely, CT.
But the general gist that we was trying to get at with bringing that up is that don't get in too big of a hurry to venture out. Stay with people for a while. Let stories develop naturally. Don't go rushing to try to make things happen, because they're just not going to if you go too fast. Because we're not going to take the time to develop one little spot for 3 people whenever we're working on developing an entire town for literally everybody else. So make stories where things are happening and then go from there.
Yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
It's my grand hope that the natives, for the first time on any server that I personally have played on, will be a really big part of the community, the state as a whole. Um, but yeah, I mean, for especially for people coming in, and then the people that have been clustered in Saint Denis for who knows how long. Um, the natives know the land; they know where to find things, for the most part. So that can play a big part of everyone's RP coming up, and we do have a pretty healthy community of native players at the moment. So yeah, that'll be a big thing.
Yeah, we do. This is the most active native presence that I have seen on a server thus far, personally. Um,
Which is freaking awesome.
yeah. Um, Anybody that's interested in dabbling in that kind of RP, we have a pretty good group of people that have done a lot of research into various different cultures. The entirety of the Wasake tribe, the basis of that is this tribe has come together through other tribes that have been either wiped out or displaced or forced to move, and these are stragglers. So it's a very mixed bag. It's not all just one tribe. It's a mixture of tribes, like a melting pot
Right.
of cultures. And we have tried to make a spot through where we have picked them to be geographically on the map to kind of cover all the different terrains that these tribes might be familiar with. So it all kind of lets them play into their own cultures while also bringing parts of their culture into this new tribe so that they can expand and, make their way as something new rather than what they were.
Yeah, the native's going to be a lot of fun. Uh, Joan, to hit on that a little bit, Mosey and CT, Odim there, all of them have played natives for a pretty good while, and I am absolutely certain that they would be happy to have a conversation with you and kind of go over that and give any tips, tricks, and that thing. Um, and you can always play a native who's just lived far enough away and is just completely different from what they're used to. So there's room to play off of not knowing um, and just being different. But yeah, by all means, have the conversation with them. Because again, there's going to be a lot of native stuff going on. I feel like so.
Oh yes, there is.
It's absolutely worth it to, if you have any interest at all, to kind of get in on that bandwagon from the ground up.
And to be fair, there's as from the start, I don't see there's any way of escaping dealing with the natives because I think there's only one blacksmith, right? CT.
At the moment, I believe so.
Yes, and he is part of the tribe.
Yep.
So
And another thing with that, as you guys are traveling from the caravan position over to the eastern side of the state, you're going to be passing through native lands. You're going to be encountering these people. So there's going to be interactions, and it's really going to be up to how you present yourself with them as to how they are going to respond. Like most of these people are from tribes that were forced to leave their lands or their tribes were wiped out. So a lot of them have reservations about the intent of outsiders. So, they might be very weary talking with you at first. But, if you bring like a peace offering, you bring a pelt or something, a sign of respect, different things like that, to show that, you want to try to get along and try to work with these people, it'll play out much better than people trying to be hostile towards them because that is probably not going to end well if people try to
Oh God, I can see it
try to
now.
move the natives off of their land.
It's the next American Native War.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but again, to hit on that, what we're looking to do is to allow the players, to allow the community to kind of help shape the storylines as we're moving forward. Okay, I see Jones typing something more.
But yeah, what Cooper said is absolutely true.
Mm-hmm.
We very much, Katie and myself, as owners, have always prided ourselves on being welcoming, trying to help new people. John has always been right there with us on that, and everybody that we have brought on staff through the interviews that we did with them and our time speaking with them, they all have that same mindset. So,
Absolutely.
from the top down, we're looking to try to help people get into role play, help them get into trying new things, get them into making the stories that they want to make, and we're here to help them along the way with all of those things.
We all got to start somewhere, and I think that's a big thing. Is like I didn't start. I'm. Let me rephrase how I wanted to say this. I didn't start Native RP until we did High Noon, and it was towards the end of High Noon that I really got into the Native RP. Um, I didn't really know how to RP a Native that was also respectful and not stereotypical, but a lot of it was just research and knowing where the history of some of that comes from. But that's like anything. We all don't go in here knowing how to RP as a horse trainer or as a gunslinger or as a bounty hunter. Like we do a little bit of research, right? And then we meet up with people who try to cultivate that excitement and that desire to keep RPing those types of characters. Um, so we all start somewhere. We all start new somewhere. Um, and the big part of this community is regardless of your experience as a role player, whether you were fresh out the box or you've been role playing for 50 years on forums and chat rooms and text RP and mud rooms and all these things, um,
Tabletop.
tabletop, all of this, LARPing, whether you have,
Playing pretend bat in the backyard.
yeah, you know, no matter how much experience you have, you're welcome here as long as you want to actually do the RP. Now, if you come in here because you want to be Bucky Badass or an Edgelord or grind, you're not going to have fun here because people aren't going to engage in that. If you come in here because you want to have the most expensive house, the most expensive horse, the most expensive wagon, all the best guns decked out, full blown, you're going to get bored because you're going to run out of things to do. Because I'm not going to pump out content meant for grinders, I'm pumping out content for role playing. Um, so take the time. Take the time to build into your character. Your character doesn't have to be this most successful person. Your character can have bad moments. Your character can struggle. Your character might not know everything. And that gives other people the opportunity to show your character how to do things. Um, if you have a character who in no way whatsoever would know how to do fishing, you could probably find someone who would show you how to do fishing. You know,
I
um,
mean, I've taught in character people how to use a gun who have never used one
mm-hmm,
before. And as a um someone who enjoys GMing for people, I have no problem introducing them to new systems.
Sadist.
Um, no, 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 no. That's one of my GMs.
but
But as part of that is you've got to learn to be patient and to learn to teach people how to do this.
mm-hmm.
And heaven knows I've had plenty of fun just showing people, or even just sitting around the campfire.
I'll
Or
just say we have spent hours in RP just sitting at a campfire talking,
yes,
and that was
um,
some of the most fun we've had. Not doing all these crazy um, heists or these gunfights or robberies or anything like that. Like some of my favorite RP stuff was literally sitting at a campfire, bullshitting as either my native character Gahay or as Stella or as my tarot reader and just chilling. Like some of that was some of the most fun ever. Um, But all of this is to say is that regardless of how much experience you have RPing any type of character, if you want ideas on how to do it, that's what the Weaver of Tales is there for. They're there to help cultivate, character ideas or, um, story arc ideas if you're feeling stuck. Because sometimes we get into those moments where we feel stuck with a character and we're like, well, where are they going to go with this? um, you know, all those kinds of things. But yeah, um, there's going to be a lot in the server for people to do if you take the time to RP. If you're rushing to get lots of money, you're not going to have a lot of fun here, and I'm sorry to say that, but um, it's the God's honest truth. You won't have a lot of fun if you're just wanting to get rich, because you're not going to get rich.
Just play the long game and don't buy anything if you plan on being rich.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I
the
mean,
other thing too, is that this isn't like GTA RP where everything's go 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 go. Just the entirety of Red Ebb as a whole is meant for slow burn stories and these lead ups to big things, and we're definitely a server that takes that to heart.
Definitely.
Uh, for anyone that does want to break out into a new box, I am absolutely happy to help you research because I love that shit.
actually, it's around here somewhere. Stella,
Yeah. Yes.
Stella!
do I have permission to share the library?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, where am I able to do that?
You can just post it in the discussion channel since we're discussing it.
Mhm.
Copy. Please ignore the name.
Yeah.
Um, but there is a lot of information in there with economic and different of, and that is a way for you to do some research yourself, or if you find across some of the other things. I even got a ticket for you to um I even have a system for you to submit things to be added into here.
Yep.
So make sure you use your resources, guys. We are here to help. We want to help you succeed in the server.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Uh,
You're always able to reach out if you have questions.
questions, complaints, ideas, suggestions, all of it. And
Yep.
Discord is your friend. There's already room for like all of that. So by all means. Um, any other questions?
I have the answer. That's 42, but I don't know the question.
That's
It's
the answer
always
to
the answer.
everything.
One might say the universal answer.
Except for that's wrong. The universal answer is actually 37.
Except it's 42.
It is 42.
And yes, Jake, he can absolutely has a cheeseburger.
Yeah, if you go make yourself one. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the recording.